Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It feels great to be here. It has definitely been a hot minute since I have seen you guys. Hello to all of you guys joining. It's so good to see you. I have been busy and I thought I have got to get back on here because I have been just mulling around um, so many thoughts. So if you're on Instagram, thank you so much for joining. If you are coming in live on Facebook, throw me a note. I never know if you guys can hear me on Facebook. I see Instagram. We have a lot of people rolling in. Hey guys, it's so good to see you. Um, Today is a topic that I have been talking about with my coaching clients for some time now. Hi, Anna. Hi, Derek. It's great to see you guys. Uh, and the topic today I thought would be a good topic to start off with is leading with grace. And sometimes that might sound like a bit of an oxymoron, right? Leading with grace, because I know firsthand that leadership can feel stressful. Sometimes it could just rob your peace and your joy. And I know, throw me a comment if you can feel me on that. And a lot of times it could feel all consuming. And if you're in a leadership position, you're probably shaking your head because I don't know that any leader can get out of this leadership journey and say this has been a stress-free life, right? So, um, my goal when I'm working with my coaching clients is graceful leadership. How do we lead with more grace and more peace and less stress? Um, because it's such a layered job. So let's get into it. It shouldn't feel draining all the time. Leadership shouldn't feel draining all the time. And if 80% of the time you feel like you're on track and you're doing a good job and your peace is not being robbed and you're able to talk to people with confidence and calm and a grounded spirit, you're doing great, even if that's 70% of the time. And then there's going to be this 20% um, piece that feels hard and it feels stressful and it feels like you're having to emotionally and mentally work. And that's normal. And the goal is to not let the 20% rob the 80% of the peace and everything that you've worked towards. So today there's three elements of leadership that I want to talk about. And trust me when I say these aren't the only three. These are just three that I want to talk about today. I could talk about the million elements of leadership, but today I want to talk about leading with grace, building trust, and bringing fun to the game of the salon, the spa, the barber shop, or really any job, even if you're not in the beauty business and you're a leader. These transcend the beauty business. Um, I want to first start off by saying that when I first opened our very, very first location, I was 27 years old. And um, I wasn't like qualified to be a leader. I, like many of you, were probably busy, great technicians, and you thought to yourself, guess what? I'm going to open a business because I'm so good at what I'm doing over here. I'm doing hair, I'm doing skin, I'm doing nails, I'm whatever I'm doing in the technical part that I'm going to open my own business. And I think that um, when you think about applying for any job, usually there would be schooling involved. Maybe you'd go to college or go to some kind of training. If like, I don't know, I've been a hair cutter my whole life. And I went to beauty school to learn how to do hair. And then I was an assistant so I could learn how to master my craft before I took clients for the job of hairdressing, as an example. So, and I think if you think of any industry, if someone's going to be a dentist or a doctor or a lawyer, like they're going to school to learn how to do this craft. But in our world, to be an owner or a leader, we just decide I'm going to just get a loan or take a second mortgage out on my house and I'm just going to become a boss, a leader, and I'm going to open my own business. And we have zero qualifications most of the time. Did we go to school? Did we get a manual? Did we get a handbook? Maybe we went to a class. I don't know. I had zero qualifications when I was 27 years old. And I thought because I was a good hairdresser, I was busy, I was successful, I was making money, I was an educator traveling around the country, not only doing hair, but talking about business. I was really fortunate to be able to do that and worked really hard to be able to do that. But I thought that those were the qualifications that were going to prepare me to be a leader. And I think what we don't think about when we say, I want to be a boss or I want to be a leader, is we don't put that word, a graceful leader, in front of it. Like, what kind of leader do you want to be? Just any kind of a leader? Um, so, Anna, just a dreamer that knows how to work hard. Yeah, a dreamer that knows how to work hard, right? But we have zero qualifications to lead a team of people. And so what happens is in our industry especially, it becomes on the job training. And if we don't look at it as on the job training, where we are in training to become a leader, just because you open a business doesn't automatically make you a boss babe or some amazing leader. No, you had zero qualifications and now you open a business and you have people that are counting on you, and all the pressures that go along with it. And now we have to try to be graceful along the way. So we have to like practice grace as we're like in the most stressful time of our lives. And so I want to talk a little bit about this 80-20 rule I started off with today. And I have this rule of thumb in my life, not just in leadership. And I talk to my son about this too, that 80% of the time, life should feel fair, or leadership should feel good. It should be exciting. You should be innovating, right? But 80% of the time, things should be going pretty well. And then there's the 20%, which I say that this is the 20% that goes into the fuck it bucket. Excuse my language, but 20% of the time, things are going to feel hard. They're going to feel unfair. They're going to feel like you're stumbling. They're going to feel like um, you don't know what you're doing. And a lot of times, that 20% or maybe 30%, even if you're 70-30, I'd say, okay, you're doing good. But if that 30% or 20% is robbing you of your peace of mind, it's robbing you from enjoying your life, of enjoying the job that you took, something's got to change. I work with salon owners, managers, leaders that have so much stress when something happens, that these things that happen don't need to be a big thing, but a big part of this is how we are perceiving the things that happen at work to be the big thing. So when I talk about graceful leadership, that we got into a job we have no qualifications for and that it becomes on the job training, it might be helpful. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I'm saying it might be helpful to be committed to working on self. And I remember at that 27-year-old age, where I didn't have even a ton of life experience, let alone any leadership experience, that after a while of things going south, of conversations going bad, of people quitting, of walkouts, of getting pushback on how I felt I should run my business, I had to look at things different and say, I am in a position where it's on the job training, and the teacher is my feedback. The feedback is my teacher. So if I do something and I get a positive response from that thing, that conversation I have, guidelines that we institute, a team building event that we have, a night out with the team going bowling, a deep conversation I have to have. If the feedback, which is what happens after the thing you do, has a positive effect, then I did that in a way that maybe I'm aligned with my values, that I took a chance, I had the courage to have the big conversation. The feedback is what you're looking for. if you're getting a great response and people understand you and they go about their business in a different way after this conversation you had, that's feedback saying that what you did, you should probably do again, try it again. That's the feedback. That's the on the job training. If the conversation goes to shite, if the person is walking out, if you have a walkout, if you have pushback, um, if your peace is compromised, that's also feedback in life. That's also saying, you know what I'm doing might not be the right thing, and I have to figure out what the thing is going to be to get me to the end result. And is that a business coach? Is that a course? Is that a book? Is that therapy? Do I need to get to know myself better? Do I have to muster up a little bit more courage to take a stand for my business? I want to just talk about that for a minute. Your team, they trust you. They came to work for you, trusting. They had no reason to not trust you. And everything we do and everything we say and how we show up either continues to build that trust or it starts breaking down the trust. And why do people leave? They usually don't leave because they're not being paid enough. People usually leave because there is a trust issue. We're going to get to that. Building trust. And how do we build that trust? And every conversation, Susan Scott says this in her book, Fierce Conversations, every conversation we choose to have is the relationship. And every conversation we choose not to have is also the relationship. So think about if there's something you need to say, someone you need to talk to, and you choose not to because you don't maybe have the courage, you don't know how to start the conversation. That's also creating the dynamic in the relationship and the culture that you're working in. So when we talk about leading with grace, that comes from practicing different techniques to keep your business moving forward, taking the feedback, learning from it, and doing something different next time. I remember years into ownership, I felt like it was all consuming. I felt stressed out all the time. I didn't know how to move my team to the next level. And I had to take a hard look at me. It wasn't the team. There's always going to be the same team, but different faces. But you are the difference maker. You are the one that your team is counting on, they're relying on to have the courage to lead with guidelines, to have the tough conversations, to I remember one of my clients who's on here today said to me the other day in one of our sessions that he had a tough conversation even in the face of him trembling. Let that drop for a minute. That's courage. Even in the face of shaking because you're so freaking nervous, because you don't know what the outcome is going to be on the other side, that you're shaking. But you have the conversation anyways. Those are the conversations that lead me to my next point, which is trust. Trust isn't built because you say you're a boss or a leader. That's not how trust is built. But people come in with blind faith and blind trust when they come to work with you. And it's everything you do after that that solidifies whether they made the right decision or not. So when we talk about leading with grace, does that have to do with your bottom line? Does that have to do with success and sustainability and profitability? Hell yeah. If you don't have a group that trusts you, that believes in you, that feels that you are that person that's going to lead them to what they signed up for, then we have a problem. So the conversations are the pieces that become our learning. They become our teacher. When you don't want, it's easy to have a conversation when things are going great. And I remember I had this employee a while back, and I had such a soft spot for this guy. I really just like love that we worked together, but he wasn't easy. He was a prima donna. Um, he was hilarious, but also disruptive. Um, he was tough. The staff, I think, had a love hate relationship with this person too, because of those qualities: quick witted, funny, sarcastic, don't get on his bad side, volatile, big energy. And mm, those were the conversations that were the hardest to have when that energy became disruptive. And it was each conversation that we had to have, or that I had to have, or that my manager had to have with this person, that I know we were shaking and we were thinking, what if this person blows up? Because we didn't really know what side of the coin they would come in on. And if we confronted these specific issues, we didn't know what was going to happen on the other side. But what we did recognize is what was happening to the morale, to the culture, to some client connections, to the disruption. So am I more committed to the team that have come on with me, that trust me, that said, I'm coming in blind faith because you're going to take care of the success journey that you promised. And then I show up and I'm too scared to have a conversation with a volatile person? I feel you. In my 33 years of owning multiple locations and having multiple employees over 33 years, imagine, I've had to have some tough conversations. I've shaken in my boots. I have not slept the night before. I have had anxiety before I've had these conversations. Some of them have turned out horrible. They were my greatest teachers, but some of them turned out beautifully, and not beautifully that we hugged and had a kumbaya moment, beautifully that that person ended up exiting, and the rest of my team had peace, and they had what they signed up for because they counted on me. They trusted, building trust. They trusted that I was going to take care of their environment, their success journey, and that builds confidence in your team. That builds morale in your team. So to my guy, shout out to my guy that's on here that had a conversation shaking in their boots this past week, that he had it anyway. And that conversation was a door opener to whatever the future is going to be. Letting go of the control of not knowing what the future is going to be, but knowing I stood up for my team, I stood up for my business, and I did it. I did the thing that I knew I needed to do. And that's how you build trust with your team. So don't be afraid of the conversations. And every conversation is a personal growth journey for yourself. It's, am I prepared with the facts? Am I having this conversation without the emotion? Have I sat with the information with enough time to not have this heightened energy that I'm bringing to the conversation, but that I'm grounded and rooted in who we are as a company and who I am as a leader and what I want for my team? Am I grounded and rooted in that enough so that even if there is an elevated energy on the other side, or someone starts crying uncontrollably, or somebody gets angry with me, that I could still sit there rooted in what I know is the right thing to do, which is, I understand that this may or may not be the right place for you. And that's okay too. Not every place is for everybody for their entire life. We all have stepping stones in life. Some of them are a long path. They're years. Some of them are short stones. They're like, you're hopping to the next path. And it's like that for your team. I've had people, before I sold the salon, which was a year ago, actually, a year ago today, was when I sold my last salon. And not only to this day, but a year ago, I have people that work for that company for 20 years, for 25 years, for 5 years, and for 5 minutes. And they all have the journey. They're all on a path. Some are long, some are short, but each one, as leaders, we have to learn from and say, did I do it okay? Look in the mirror. Did I do this okay? Could I have done it better? Could I have altered it a little bit differently? And what I love more than anything when I'm working with my coaching clients, because my goal for them is graceful leadership. It doesn't mean no stress. It means that you're rooted in what you know is right and true for you. And that is my goal for my clients. And when I see that they are making those decisions because of the practice that they have put in, what do they say? It takes 10,000 hours to master a craft. But we open a salon and think we're just going to be the best leaders. Well, you might have the best intention and the best heart, but you have zero qualifications. And I had zero qualifications. This isn't like, I'm not saying anything to put anybody down, but we open a business with no qualifications on how to be leaders. And because I was an educator, did not qualify me to be an owner of a business, on the job training. So when my clients come to me and they tell me a story about them moving into these hard conversations, building trust with their team that maybe a year ago would have been the end of the world, that's when I feel like I've done my job. I feel like, you know what? You've arrived, babe. You know, that's awesome. So I love when my clients get to a point where they're running something by me instead of caught up in the drama of a situation. And that's not bad either, because that's step one, which is, this feels huge and I don't know what to do about it. That's step one. And that's where we all start. This little thing that I can look at now that I'm like, been there, done that 2,500 times, is now just a little thing. And I have the tools to be able to address it and move on and not create a sleepless night. And we start building that skill set over time because we are in an on-the-job training scenario. And we never, ever get off that training. From the day I started until the day I held a team meeting for my company, sharing that I was selling the business, I look back on that meeting even, and I think to myself, there's a few things I could have done different to make that better. On the job training, that's how we need to be in life. When I'm raising my son, I didn't get a handbook on his type of personality that is going to be parented in some certain way. On the job training, what has turned into a disaster and what's turned into a blessing, and how do I need to become malleable and flexible to speak into his listening or speak into my team's listening, so that I'm building a skill set for different types of people, and to be able to handle things in a way with grace, where you're grounded and rooted in your core values, what you feel is right for you and your business, and continuing to build trust for your team. The last element today that I want to talk about that I think is so important for graceful leadership is to bring fun. And not bring fun as a chore. But when I look over the years, my 33 years of owning businesses, and I look at the different leadership styles of the different leaders in each of those businesses over the years, because I've had a lot of leaders, a lot of staff, the leaders that bring naturally and organically fun, quirky element, but also have the ability to communicate and just bring this fun element to connect to the team, those are the leaders with the high retention, that produce high, that want to produce for them because they come to work and they have fun doing what they're doing. And I've had a motto my entire life that I have instilled, hopefully, into my son and into the people that I'm thankful enough to have listening to any of the talks I've ever done, which is, find something in life that you love doing, that you have a love for, and figure out how to make money doing it. And when you love doing something, but you feel like that love is being robbed because of the stress, because we don't have maybe the tools or haven't developed the tools to handle the things coming our way, it's just a message that we need to build our skill set. Or do you not love what you're doing? People that love what they're doing give themselves grace because they're human, and it's okay to say to your team, I made a mistake, I totally effed up, we shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have gone in this direction, whatever it is. When you can give yourself grace, you can give other people grace. At the level that you give yourself grace, you can extend that grace to other people. And grace doesn't mean that you are being walked on. Giving people grace doesn't mean you're bending the rules. It's a way of being, a way of showing up that could be a calm confidence, still staying grounded in your beliefs, but hearing the other person out, and at any opportunity sharing why we do what we do culturally to keep our team moving in a certain direction. And leading with grace is not, it's not easy. It's not as easy as it sounds. It's on the job training. It's the ability to look in the mirror and say, I don't really know how to get to the 80% happiness factor while I'm leading. I feel like I'm the 20% happiness factor, and 80% of the time I'm a mess. I feel like I don't know how to handle things. That's okay. As long as you then seek out, what do I do next? Who can I call? What should I do next in order to get to 80% of the time? I feel I'm having fun doing what I'm doing, right? I am enjoying it. Even in the tough moments, I enjoy the challenge of problem solving, how to address the situation that I don't like. Even that gameplay needs to become fun, or could become fun, but it all has to do with our mindset. So if anything resonated with you today, feel free to drop it in the comments. Feel free to share this link. I also have on Carrie Davis Consulting, I have a YouTube channel, and on Facebook, these videos don't stay for more than 30 days, so I upload everything over to my YouTube channel. I have probably 50 or so Mindset Mondays, so feel free to hop on there if you have any leaders that you're looking to train, if you're looking for a little extra motivation. I'm just happy to be here with you guys today. It's been a minute since I've been here. For those of you that don't know, I also launched a real estate career, and so I've been in my on-the-job training in that career. So I gave a pause over here, but I feel now a bit more rooted in what I'm doing there, and I get to play in this sandbox of two things that I love. I love doing my coaching and my speaking and working with people, and guess what? It translates over here into my real estate too. So I get to play in these sandboxes that fill me up, and I get to just be excited and blessed to find two things that I'm so passionate about, and I get to do those in my life. And now you figure out how to make money doing it, right? That's the job, and that's the goal for you guys. So if you need any help and you're living in that 80%, I'm a disaster mode, feel free to reach out. I'd love to help you. And I hope to see you on my next Mindset Monday. I'm going to try to get on here once a month again and get back in that rhythm now that I feel grounded over on this other side, in this other sandbox. So now I can start to create a little bit more balance for myself. So thank you for your grace. And I love you guys. And I hope you have an amazing September, an amazing month. Reach out if you need anything. So have a blessed day. Mwah, mwah. Bye.